Horizon Gents, CG reaction, and this is how many people did nuclear energy kill? Nuclear death toll by the channel Kurzgesagt in a nutshell. This is a big channel, 40 million subscribers, so obviously the content is definitely good. Some people told me about this channel. I didn't know about it, but apparently, it's a science-related channel, which I always love it, and the topics are great. So yeah, nuclear energy. So I guess he's gonna talk about not just bomb here, but so things like Chernobyl too. So nuclear power plants, atomic bombs, or even radioactive waste. Somebody even getting, I don't know, exposed to that because of waste. Just sometimes, some nuclear waste is disposed in a way that people don't realize, but it spreads somehow in the air through water, and that have massive issues around it. Like there was a study done that around Washington, I guess, there are lots of radioactive waste disposal areas, and around those areas lots of people have increased cancer rates. So obviously there is a connection there. So that is just effed up. Nuclear radiation, basically radioactive particles, just mean a particle is unstable. That's what it means. A particle is unstable. Our body is made of stable particles, obviously. So when an unstable particle touches and interacts with our particle, it changes it, and obviously changing it is not good. Changing DNA, changing our own cell, that's just bad. So it causes cancer and bigger issues like destroying immune systems and things like that. So it's really effed up. Lots of these things people find out eventually, so that is really heavy. At the time you don't realize, but along the line, yeah, everybody's screwed. So things like Chernobyl power plant happened. I don't think directly affected by that explosion many people died. I don't think so. People just abandoned the areas around it. There's still haunting photos of the abandoned buildings. The most haunting photo is abandoned fun park or something like that with merry-go-round and things like that. That is just really haunting thing. I remember playing Call of Duty, and then also other games like Stalker, where I see that it's just haunting photo. So yeah, basically the radioactive radiation in the air and contamination like that basically will affect lots of people around Chernobyl. Eventually lots of people will die because of things like cancer and things. So I don't know, it must be in thousands definitely. If we talk about the bomb, obviously when the bomb fell on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, lots of people died. But also radiations will have effect there too, just like that, and it will be a potent effect. I mean, radioactivity is basically, let's just say, going into the developer mode, I guess. Going to the deep file that people should not mess with. That's what radioactive things are. So basically it fucks up our own biology at the cellular level. So that's just way too fucked up. That's why nuclear bombs, anything nuclear, when some issue happens, that's just devastating. If we don't contain it, that's just fucked up. So yeah, well, let's watch this video.
Nuclear energy creates an uneasy feeling of danger for many people. Ancient and dangerous minerals are concentrated to awaken seemingly unnatural powers, creating horribly toxic elements that, if they escape, can and have killed people in horrible ways. How many people has nuclear energy killed, and how? Nuclear energy has been a thing since 1951, and since then, there have been around 30 reported accidents globally. Most of them were pretty minor compared to the two disasters everybody is familiar with, Fukushima and Chernobyl. Chernobyl is undoubtedly the worst nuclear accident in history for a number of reasons. The reactor technology was old and ill-prepared for emergencies, and the government response was slow and more concerned about image than damage control. Still, only 31 people died directly in the accident. But what makes nuclear energy scary is not reactors blowing up, but the radiation they release. So the real question is, how many deaths through cancer and other diseases will Chernobyl cause?
There are photos of Chernobyl about the radioactive foot. Apparently, foot-like shape this thing has taken. which is radioactive thing that is at the core of it, that is immensely radioactive. Like people, I mean, there are people went there near the food and took photos. Those people are just fucking brave. I mean, I would never do that in a million years, regardless of how much money you give me, because that's just basically stupid at that point. But people did it because of, I don't know, curiosity, scientific curiosity, who knows. But yeah, that is immensely radioactive. It's not even funny.
Here things get really complicated because you dip right into controversy, and just discussing the different estimates and how they were calculated deserves a video of its own. The most pessimistic estimate comes from a study commissioned by the European Green Party and projects up to 60,000 premature deaths by the year 2065.
There you go.
Most scientific studies come up with numbers much lower than this. The WHO has estimated that in total, the long-term death toll will be around 4,000. While the UN Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation concluded that even this figure could be too high. For more details on this, check our research document. The second big nuclear accident was Fukushima.
We have to check the source, like who are these people who came up with the studies, who are more, technical expert in this particular area, and who are not affected by, let's just say, some governments telling people to chill out the results, so it's not, basically global backlash, like something like this happened. Because let's just say if there's a 60,000 people who die, pressure increases on Ukraine, because obviously things already happened, but still people are like, what the hell, man? The discussion starts again, like, what the hell, 60,000 people who die? Man, you should have known better, and the discussion starts again. So people, because of bad publicity, government might influence some paper to tell them to decrease the result. I don't know, so we have to check the source there.
Daiichi in 2011. Fukushima did not only operate with much better technology that was less dangerous in the first place, much better security measures were in place, and the official response was fast and decisive. And so the current death toll is only 573. The major difference here is that these deaths were not a consequence of radiation. They were indirect deaths from the stress of the evacuation of the areas around the reactors and occurred almost entirely in older populations. Estimates of the possible long-term deaths from radiation vary widely, from none at all to about one.
Chernobyl was at the area where, the buildings around it, I don't think it was, I don't know the detail, but I don't think it was a city. I mean, obviously Pripyat is a city nearby, but I think where Chernobyl was, I think the buildings we see, those are basically employee buildings for the people that worked at the plant. I'm pretty sure that was the case. In Japan, it was near a city. So when it happened, literally cities need to be evacuated. I mean, think about the mentality behind it. I mean, you just, hear, holy shit, just, there was a nuclear, explosion there. So, not nuclear explosion. Yeah, there was basically an accident there. And now there's a radiation in the air. Quick, evacuate. That would be a massive fear in my chest just hearing that sentence. So imagine people thought that. So that's why lots of people die in that panic.
1,000. In terms of the other long-term consequences, an increase in thyroid cancer in children has been observed, but according to the WHO, this is related to the increased screening rates. By 2018, there had been only one confirmed death among workers as a result of radiation-induced lung cancer. Now, let's compare this to renewable energy. Solar, wind, and geothermal energy basically only cause deaths as a result of construction and maintenance accidents.
Obviously.
Unfortunately, their current share of global energy is pretty low. The major player in renewable energy is hydropower, which mostly means building dams and letting water flow through turbines from a higher elevation to a lower elevation. In total, hydro has been the most fatal in terms of accidents, with hundreds of thousands of deaths in the last half-century.
What?
One accident clearly stands out, the 1975 Bankao hydroelectric dam failure in China, which has striking similarities to Chernobyl. Old technology, poor design, and poor management by authoritarian governments concerned about appearances. In a nutshell, a massive typhoon triggered intense flooding that destroyed the dam and, subsequently, a number of smaller dams in a chain reaction, unleashing a flood of over 15 billion cubic meters of water in total. Kilometer-wide waves as high as buildings devastated thousands of square kilometers of countryside and countless communities.
Damn.
All in all, the death toll from just this one accident and its direct consequences is estimated to lie between 85,000 to 240,000.
That's fucking high.
But all of these deaths caused by nuclear and renewable energy are actually negligible in comparison to the real killer energy source, fossil fuel, the most widely used source of energy and electricity.
I mean, obviously the hole in the Gulf of Mexico and things like that. There was a movie about Deepwater Horizon, a Wahlberg movie. I mean, obviously, it's just water is on fucking fire, and firefighters have to go there and basically put it out. How the fuck that even happens? I don't understand that whole mentality behind that. All the people who went there to take out the fire, it's just, man, respect to them. I can't process that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Even the waters were on fire because it's basically oil. That was just effed up.
When we burn fossil fuels to heat up water and make turbines spin, or to cause mini explosions to move cars with internal combustion engines, gases like ozone, sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and nitrogen dioxide are released into the atmosphere. Breathing in these gases disrupts lung function, which aggravates chronic conditions like asthma and bronchitis, and causes a wide range of respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. But even more dangerous is the fine particle pollution burning fossil fuels causes. A mixture of solid and liquid droplets of poisonous substances as small as 2.5 microns in diameter. They easily find their way deep into your lungs and increase the risk of deadly diseases like lung cancer, stroke, and heart disease. Fossil fuel-related air pollution is the #1 cause of environmental-related deaths in the world. According to the WHO, it accounts for 29% of all cases of lung cancer, 17% of deaths from acute lower respiratory infection, 24% from stroke, 25% from ischemic heart disease.
Isn't this from coal? I think this is just related to coal. I mean, there are photos of coal mining and they are covered in black. There are kids' photos like coal miners' children who are playing around, and even they are somewhat black. I'm like, what the fuck is that? And there are lots of asthma things and what is a consumption or whatever they were called because of coal. That was just effed up.
And 43% from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. All in all, outside air pollution adds up to the deaths of 4 million people each year. What makes air pollution especially problematic and sinister is the fact that the damage it causes happens very gradually, which makes it hard for our brains that didn't evolve with subtle dangers in mind to realize the scope of the problem.
Yeah, I mean, if something kills you slowly over time, people don't realize it. It's ridiculous in coal, like how Donald Trump was constantly, bitching about how we are going to increase the coal job, even when biggest coal companies and people are saying, like, preserving the job, that's all we are asking. Increasing job is not even we don't think that's going to happen. So yeah, coal is going away fast. Even though lots of, countries like India and China is rising the production. Obviously in Paris Accord they are slowing down in some pace, but obviously they are increasing, which is kind of fucked up. I live in India. Last time I saw AccuWeather forecast of the air, and air is really polluted in most cities. I live in cities, so that's kind of worrisome. I hope obviously India is also investing major solar panel areas and lots of renewable energy too, like thorium power plants and things like that. So I hope coal production goes down immensely immediately. Then obviously you can't realize it. I'm pretty sure 20 years ago the air that we used to breathe were much cleaner, or that could be just placebo effect, I don't know, but I think that's the case, definitely.
Collectively, air pollution from fossil fuels is estimated to have killed around 100 million people in the past 50 years. But wait, is that really fair?
Yeah.
Fossil fuels also provide over 80% of global energy, so it makes sense that
100 million, I think that's an inflated number, because that, any energy production number, some death just happened because majority of production is like 85% of the energy need of the world is provided by fossil fuels. So any death regarding that is going to consider in that. I don't think that's really fair, since that's cogs of the world. These are some major industries that are needed to run the world. Obviously there's going to be accidents there.
that they cause.
Even if there was like solar panel or something other like nuclear energy, there was 85%, they would have lots of deaths too, just because this is a major industry and these are really important things to run the world. So there has to be some kind of accident. That's just basic mathematics, I guess.
The most deaths. So let's compare deaths per energy unit. Deaths per energy unit produced. A few studies have compared the death rates from different energy sources per 1 terawatt hour. That's about the annual energy consumption of 27,000 EU citizens, or 12,600 US citizens. To produce that much energy for 1 year, coal causes 25 deaths, oil causes 18, and natural gas 3. Renewable energy causes 1 death every few decades. And nuclear, in the worst case, nuclear energy would cause 1 death every 14 years. One study even found that nuclear energy actually saved 2 million lives between 1971 and 2009 by displacing fossil fuels from the global energy mix.
I saw, the science guy who's Bill Nye talking about that if we put solar panels in every house on France, like every house and every buildings of France, just France is not that big compared to the entire world, we could supply entire world's energy and more. Just France and buildings on top of the France. That just says that how small of an area could generate so much energy. So solar panels is definitely the future, like somewhere like desert, like Australia, lots of African desert. If we put solar panels and store the energy and distribute it, world's energy need would go away. But the biggest issue is storing and transporting that energy. That is the biggest issue. Anybody who figures that out, that's just done. Tesla is trying to do it something in Australia, trying to store massive amount of energy. Always Elon Musk with some next level ideas and trying to push the technology, I guess.
The numbers are clear. Even when using wildly pessimistic numbers, nuclear energy is among the safest forms of energy generation, and at a time when we're struggling to slow down rapid climate change, it's a really valuable low-carbon option. However, all these facts still leave one major argument that is fielded against nuclear power. Opponents of nuclear energy argue that nuclear waste and its lack of long-term storage solutions is an unacceptable problem and risk, while proponents of nuclear energy say that until renewable energies are able to cover the complete energy demands of mankind, it's arguably safer to store nuclear waste for the time being than to inhale poisonous gases and promote rapid climate change. But a detailed discussion about nuclear waste would go too far here. More about it in our sources. Let us know if you'd like a whole video about it. So looking at the comparative death rates, it's a
Yeah, and also about the hydrogen cell storing. Anybody figures that out, that is just next level thing. I mean, that is one of the best source you could think of, one of the most abundant source. Anybody who figures out how to store it, hydrogen cells, this is going to be awesome.
bit concerning that some countries are replacing nuclear energy with fossil fuels, mostly coal. Especially Germany and Japan have been the most active in dismantling their nuclear fleet. In a ploy to appease the public, the German government shut down 11 of its 17 nuclear facilities and plans to close the remaining reactors in 2022. The immediate gap in energy production was filled by temporarily increasing coal production, the energy source with the largest health impacts and the worst consequences for climate change.
What the fuck? Germany did that?
A 2019 analysis concluded that as a consequence, the nuclear phase-out has led to 1,100 avoidable deaths per year in Germany due to the increased air pollution in the years after 2010. So, in conclusion, nuclear energy feels way more dangerous than it actually is.
Yeah, it really isn't.
No matter how you look at it, the one thing we should strive to get rid of as quickly as possible are fossil fuels to prevent the deaths they cause each year and to slow.
At that time, let's just say during this accidents about Chernobyl and things, during that time we knew of the technology, like how to safeguard these things, but we were just careless. As soon as this happened, people just like, whoa, just wake up from this sleep, I guess. They sort of realized if we had done this and this, that we already knew how to do all this, none of this would have ever happened ever, regardless of what. Like, simple things as cadmium, boron, control rods, and, simple cooling systems that people, okay, not simple. Today, nuclear plants has cooling system that is really advanced, but even that is not needed. At the time, there was really simplistic cooling system that we had. People just were careless. So Chernobyl and Japan Fukushima thing, that's just, carelessness that happened. Otherwise, a nuclear accident like this is not common, is extremely rare, and nuclear is one of the most safest thing that is, if we can control it. Nuclear is basically, let's just say, the sun. I mean, sun generates energy through nuclear process. That is a gigantic nuclear plant in our sky that gives life to the entire world. So using nuclear power to generate energy, it's the the highest form of technology about producing energy there can be. After all said and done, in the end, we will perfect nuclear plants, and that is going to be the core energy generating thing in the next level of civilization, because nothing goes above nuclear fusion, nuclear fission, things like that. That is the prime energy source. So nuclear plant is not yesterday's news, that is tomorrow's news, that is the news for forever. Nothing can go above that. So yeah, nuclear energy is safe, and we do know how to keep it safe.
Slow down climate change. Regardless of how much you personally care about climate change issues or which energy source you favor, saving millions of lives should be something we can all agree on. Maybe you've actually made some kind of resolution to try and be more sustainable this year. Or maybe your goals are more about you as a person and you'd like to pick up some new skills. Still being stuck?
Yeah, people, go to skillshare.com/course gesagt. In a nutshell, zero. Wait a minute, what is the link? That's way too big of a link. Just go to the original video page and see the link and support that channel. This channel makes great content like this. I love this video about nuclear energy. People really need to get educated on nuclear energy. It's not dangerous. There's no reason to shut it down. People do know how to make nuclear energy and make nuclear plants without having any issues. So it's not really dangerous anymore. What dangerous effect it did have was just some carelessness. That's it. Otherwise, nuclear energy is fine. People are like clean coal, and people are like global warming is not true and stupid shit like that. I hate that, man. Every scientist in the world says that global warming is a real thing. You accept all the scientists in the world when they give you all the technology that you're using today. Unless you live in a cave like a caveman, anything you do today is done because some scientist did something and you agree with it. From satellites to everything. So now you're gonna say, I don't believe these scientists, global warming is up for debate. We can debate that. No, you can't. Unless you have an advanced degree in science and technology, you don't know shit. Shut the fuck up. You're not going to debate your doctor on cancer, so you can't debate scientists over global warming. Don't say there is a scientist somewhere who's saying it's not true. One out of 100 scientists say it's not true. That's not an argument. That's scientists, even in scientific terms, majority stands with the global warming, and that one scientist could be compromised. If 99 scientists said the global warming is fake and only one scientist said it's true, then there is a case. All right. Right now, every scientist in the world, every major scientist in the world says global warming is true. So nuclear energy, is the forward thing. I mean, I don't see, easy way to store energy for the solar panel things. Hydro energy feels primitive compared to these ones. So nuclear energy is the future. Alright, people, so if you like my reaction to food, like and subscribe. Check out other reaction I did. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards for all the playlists like Salmonella, SCP. Let me know internet historian, things like that. History, Roman bias history by Doherty, things like that. And yeah, I guess I'll see you next time.